Deep in the jungle of Mesoamerica, a group of Maya city-states flourished for over a millennium. The Maya constructed great temples to bloodthirsty gods, then mysteriously went into a period of decline not once, but twice. By the time the Spanish arrived in 1517, little remained of the Maya beyond the legends and clues they left behind for explorers to discover. Archaeologists found evidence of Maya farming by about 400 years before the Common Era in the lowlands of what is today the southernmost part of Mexico, El Salvador, Belize, and eastern Honduras. The Maya cultivated squash, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, and cocoa, but corn was their primary food source and the reason the Maya population grew. Modern science indicates that over 70% of the ancient Maya diet came from corn. The Maya believed that the gods created humans from dough made of corn and blood. To repay the gods, the Maya offered animal and human sacrifices. Maya inscriptions describe gruesome rituals that included priests removing the hearts of victims to satisfy their gods. Maya priests also cut themselves and sacrificed their own blood to worship their gods. The most honored god in the Maya pantheon was Chaac, who provided rain to the Maya farmers. There were few rivers in the region, so the Maya were dependent upon Chaac's kindness. Later Maya built huge cisterns to collect and store rainwater to provide citizens through months of drought. Maya astronomers studied the heavens and kept careful records of their religious observances because the Maya believed sacrifices to the gods had to be carefully timed. The Maya used two calendars. An everyday calendar with 13 months of 20 days each was probably related to the appearance of the planet Venus. The Greeks and the Romans associated Venus with the goddess of beauty, but the Maya seem to have associated Venus with war. The Maya also had a solar calendar that was like our own. Dates were so important that many Maya named their children after the name of the date of their birth. The Maya created their calendar using a sophisticated mathematical system. While our mathematics is based on the number 10 or base 10, the Maya had a base 20 system. They represented 1 to 4 with dots. 5 was a horizontal bar. 6 to 9 was a bar with dots above. 10 was 2 vertical bars. They drew a shell to represent 0. The system could be repeated to 20. Numbers bigger than 20 were depicted as stacks of multiples of 20 raised to various powers. The system was flexible and allowed Maya mathematicians to calculate sums that went up to the hundreds of millions. The Maya were not a unified empire, but a collection of city-states ruled by kings. The king and the priests who advised him taxed the farmers and craftsmen of their state, oversaw justice, administered nearby villages, and waged war. Maya civilization thrived in the southern lowland Yucatan Peninsula from about 250 to 900 of the Common Era, then collapsed. There was a dramatic drop in population. Maya cities such as Copán and Tikal were abandoned, and all new construction apparently stopped. We don't know what happened, but theories include overpopulation, over-cultivation, drought, erosion, deforestation, warfare among cities, and internal rebellion. The collapse was probably a result of many of or all of those factors to varying degrees. Historians refer to this era as the Classic period of Maya history. After the fall of the Classic period, about 7 new Maya cities, including Uxmal and Chichén Itzá, formed in the northern Yucatan Peninsula. These post-classical Maya constructed large canoes that allowed them to dominate trade throughout Mesoamerica. Then, about 1200, the post-classical Maya cities began to collapse as mysteriously as their earlier counterparts. The last significant Maya city remained at Mayapan. In 1441, Mayapan was sacked, burned, and abandoned after a revolt by its neighbors. The revolt was led by the Mexica, a new group that was consolidating power in the Central Valley of Mexico. History knows the Mexica as the Aztecs, the next great power in the region.